Okay, now this is kind of like part 2 to our Unit 8 vocabulary. What we have here looks like the same diagram that we were dealing with when we did our colorful vocabulary, rainbow explosion vocabulary. So how is this any different? What we've done is taken a map of an area in Denison, actually. We took West Munson Street and West Hull Street, and we identified some locations. Now these locations are on the corner, like Denison Motors is on the corner of West Munson and South Eisenhower. So here's another street. So these are our street names, and on the corner of West Munson, on specific corners, in South Eisenhower or West Hull and South Eisenhower, we've got all these different locations. And what that creates is 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal. That's created 8 different angles for us. In my last video, we named angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Same idea here. Instead of naming them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they're named Guamira Auto, Denison Motors, Denison Tire, Taco Bell, Boston Fish, Jerry's, Shell, and O'Reilly. And so let's go ahead and get started on how to apply these vocabulary words to something seemingly real life to us, reading maps. So let's look to see at which 2 streets are parallel. So if I'm driving along these 2 streets, I can never get to the other one unless I find another road and go off on it, right? If I'm driving on West Hull and I bang a left onto South Eisenhower Parkway, I can eventually find West Munson. So which streets are parallel? South Eisenhower crosses West Munson, so it can't. West Munson and South Eisenhower aren't parallel then. South Eisenhower also crosses West Hull, so South Eisenhower and West Hull are also not parallel. But if I was driving along West Munson and my sister was driving along West Hull, then our 2 cars would never meet unless we veered off onto some other road. So which 2 streets are parallel? The 2 streets that never crossed each other were West Munson and West Hull. They never crossed each other. Okay. So which street is the transversal? In this diagram, West Hull and West Munson are the parallel lines, and South Eisenhower Parkway crosses through both of them. The definition of transversal was a line that's crossing over a set of parallel lines. So South Eisenhower, since it crosses over parallel lines, is the transversal because it crosses the 2 parallel lines. So South Eisenhower then. Okay. Now we're going to start talking about the locations of things. The locations are all of these words. Just because I know it's a lot to write, let's go ahead and call Guamira Auto GA. Denison Motors can be DM. Denison Tire can be DT. Taco Bell can be TB. Jerry's you can probably write if you really just don't want to write. I guess you could use a J. Boston Fish, we can say BF. Shell, if you really don't want to write, I suppose you could use S, and then O'Reilly, you can say OR. All right. So number 3 is asking us which locations are the interior. Remember, interior is between the 2 parallel lines, which means inside. Between the parallel lines would be inside of them if I had a box. So let's draw that box. So inside of the box, we've got Denison Tire, Taco Bell, Boston Fish, and Jerry's. Denison Tire, Taco Bell, Boston Fish, and Jerry's. I'm going to color those green. Right. Now the number 4 asks us for the locations of the exterior angles or places. Okay, so exterior is outside of West Munson and West Hull. It's on the outer edges. That would be Gwamere Auto, Denison Motors, on the outside, not the inside of that box, Shell, and O'Reilly. Okay, so we've got a Gwamere Auto, Denison Motors, Shell, and O'Reilly. Those are the exterior angles or locations because this is outside of the parallel lines. So the next words were more of our difficult vocabulary to understand. Is what took me so long to talk about. We've got which location is alternate interior to Boston Fish. Remember, alternate interior meant opposite side of T, so opposite of the transversal, and on the inside of the box. So if we're looking specifically at Boston Fish, here's Boston Fish. I'm also going to label that this is the left side of the transversal and the right side of the transversal. We've got Boston Fish. Boston Fish is on the inside of the box, interior, and it's on the left side. So again, Boston Fish is from the bottom parallel line, so I know its alternate interior comes from the other parallel line. So your choices are Gwamere Auto, Denison Motors, Denison Tire, Taco Bell. We need it to be alternate, so instead of left, I need something on the right. Now our options are Denison Motor and Taco Bell. So of those two, we've already fulfilled the alternate part. Now I need interior, which means in the box. Taco Bell is the one on the inside of the box. So Boston Fish and Taco Bell are alternate interior angles or locations. So Boston Fish and Taco Bell. All right. Which location is alternate exterior to O'Reilly? If we look at what alternate exterior means, alternate meaning opposite of T. This is alternate exterior, right? So now we're on the outside of the box, or the parallel lines. So looking at O'Reilly, O'Reilly is on the bottom parallel line, so I know that its alternate exterior will be from the top parallel line. I need alternate exterior. O'Reilly is on the right side of the transversal. So I know I need something on the left side. Well, the options from the top parallel line on the left side are Gwamere Auto and Denison Tire. And we need something that was opposite. We need the one that's outside of the box. Between Gwamere Auto and Denison Tire, Gwamere Auto is on the outside of the box. So O'Reilly and Gwamere Auto are alternate exterior locations. Now we've got which location corresponds with Denison Motors. Corresponds meant it was the same position, or in a matching location, matching spot. Okay. So looking at Denison Motors. Denison Motors is on the top parallel line, so I need something from the bottom parallel line. That means I've got Boston Fish, Jerry's, Shell, or O'Reilly. Well, Denison Motors is on the right side, on the top of the line. So looking at the other line, I need the right side. That's either Jerry's or O'Reilly. Denison Motors was on the top of the parallel line, so that's Jerry's. Denison Motors and Jerry's are in the same spot. If my sister was driving on West Munson and I was driving on West Hull, and we both drove until South Eisenhower, and then we took the same right turn, she would be at Denison Motors and I would be at Jerry's. Which location is vertical to Taco Bell? Remember, vertical was the weird one that made the X, and we were looking specifically for the thing that was across in the X. So Taco Bell is right here. The X with Taco Bell is with the T, the South Eisenhower Parkway in West Munson. There's my X. Across in the X from Taco Bell is Gwamere Auto. So Taco Bell and Gwamere Auto are vertical locations. Number 9, which location is consecutive interior to Denison Tire? If I pulled out my vocabulary, I don't see a consecutive interior. Unless I'm looking really hard and I took super good notes. CoInterior. The co just means same side. CoInterior then means same side interior. If I'm looking for same side interior, I really mean same side of T and inside the box. Well, Denison Tire is on the top parallel line, so I need something same side interior from the bottom parallel line. Okay, same side means that if Denison Tire is on the left, which it is, then it's matching. It's same side consecutive interior angle is also on the left. That means I've got either Boston Fish or Shell because Jerry's and O'Reilly are on the right. All right, and we are talking about consecutive interior. So between Boston Fish and Shell, we need to pick the left thing that's on the inside of the box, which is Boston Fish. That means that Denison Tire and Boston Fish are consecutive interior locations. Boston Fish, or angles. Last question, we've got which locations are adjacent to Shell? Remember, adjacent meant that they shared a side. Okay, so if adjacent means they're sharing a side, then I need to outline the angle for Shell. I'm outlining the angle for Shell. That's this part of West Hull Street and this part of South Eisenhower Parkway. Now, this portion of South Eisenhower Parkway also is outlining O'Reilly's. So Shell is adjacent to O'Reilly's. But Shell has two sides, South Eisenhower Parkway and West Hull. So West Hull Street goes with Shell and also Boston Fish. Boston Fish is also off of West Hull. So we've got Boston Fish as well. So your first question was about 2 streets. Your second question was about 1 street. The next 2 were asking about interior and exterior in this kind of diagram. If I have a line going through another line, that's going to create 4 separate angles. Right? If I have a crisscross, that creates 4 little locations. So I've got that, though, across 2 parallel lines, which means it creates 8 locations. 2 times 4. So interior is just the inside ones, or 4 inside ones. The 4 inside. Number 4 was the exterior, so the 4 that weren't inside, or the 4 outside. Alternate interior to 1 angle. You only have 1 matching angle that's alternate interior. I say matching, I mean 1 angle that's alternate interior. So you'll have 1 answer here, 1 location. And we continued having 1 location until we talked about something that was adjacent. Since adjacent shares a side, and each angle or location has the 2 sides, then there's 2 answers. When you're working with adjacent things, there are 2 possible answers or 2 possible locations. So don't forget to list both of those. Your homework is super similar to this. Hopefully remember to pass that out. Your homework is super similar to this with the exception, now the parallel lines are going up and down, and the transversal is horizontal. If that really bugs you, just rotate your paper to look at the diagram, because now it looks just like this. I'll help you out and tell you that 35, 75, and 82 are the streets. Are 35, 75, 82. And the locations, if you want to do BK for Burger King, VL for Vacant Lot, WB for Whataburger, QT for Quick Trip. You can do SW for the Sherman Walmart. I mean, you can probably write out Sam's. If you'll do SM, so I know that you're talking about Sam's and not Sherman Walmart. And then you can do C for Chili's and SB for Starbucks. So Burger King, Vacant Lot, Whataburger, QT, Starbucks, Sherman Walmart, Sam's, and Chili's. These are your streets. These are your locations. Remember that if you are asked to find adjacent locations, there are two possible answers, two possible locations. I hope this video was helpful. This is page 30, not page 130. If you have questions or concerns or comments about the content from this video, please don't hesitate to reach out to me on Schoology or to send me an email.